What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here from DataDash, and I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are, because in today's sponsored review, we're going to be talking about one of the titans in the crypto space, one of the leading infrastructure plays when it comes to crypto and Web3 for deploying decentralized applications for use cases like DeFi, real-world assets, and NFTs, but beyond that as well, a platform that is serving as the leading interoperable platform for all major Layer 1 networks as it plans to step into its next major network upgrade this year. Today we're going to be talking about none other than Polkadot and its long-awaited update, Polkadot 2.0, which is going to come with a slew of major updates that is going to make Polkadot a leading infrastructure play in the crypto space. We've got a lot to unpack here in today's video, so if you guys happen to enjoy, consider dropping a like. And let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of the basics. Many of you have probably heard about Polkadot before, but if this is your first time hearing about it, Polkadot is one of the leading Layer 0 protocols that not only services as a traditional functional Layer 1, having its own decentralized applications and use cases that you can tap into on the network, but it also serves as a major interoperable play, as that's one of its biggest focus points, servicing various needs on other networks, but being able to also communicate with these separate networks when it comes to the applications on its chain. That's a broad bird's eye overview of what Polkadot is focused on. However, in order to understand why Polkadot was founded in the first place, we need to understand the backstory of its founder, Gavin Wood. Gavin Wood was not only one of the co-creators of the Ethereum Foundation, as well as the Ethereum project, but beyond that, he went on to go found Polkadot due to a lot of the frustrations that he had with Ethereum's capabilities in the early days. With Ethereum being one of the first to market, while it definitely pioneered very valuable things like smart contract deployment and therefore decentralized applications and narratives like DeFi, there was a lot of setbacks and still continues to be a lot of setbacks on the Ethereum network that similarly limits the network when it comes to things like scalability, when it comes to governance and self-funding, and beyond that as well, being able to actually fix a lot of the issues when it comes to deploying and developing applications. Polkadot was aimed at solving for a lot of these issues, and it already has a proven track record of solving for many of these things, whether it's its throughput on the network or providing the ability to have a proper governance and treasury system on its network. And the best way to demonstrate this is by observing the wide range of live decentralized applications that already exist on the Polkadot network. They have dozens of live applications for practically any use case you can think of. They have projects like Centrifuge, which services for tokenizing and allowing you to trade and manage real-world assets. They have HydraDX, which serves as one of the major automated market makers or decentralized exchanges on the network, similar to Uniswap on the Ethereum network, and a whole range of other projects that service for the use case of NFTs and digital collectibles, as well as entertainment and social interaction on the Polkadot network. If you can think of a use case, there's likely an application here on the Polkadot network. And it's just getting started, because as the updates of Polkadot 2.0 go live throughout the year of 2024 and beyond, we'll be able to see a whole range of new applications come to the forefront, not only competing with existing ones, but offering entirely new use cases and value propositions that we have yet to see. However, before we dive into talking about the awesome updates that are going to be coming with Polkadot 2.0, I want to spend some time to talk to you guys about one of my favorite features that come with the Polkadot network that many Layer 1 or Layer 2 protocols in the crypto space simply don't have, and I think puts Polkadot ahead of the competition in many regards, and that is its built-in self-funded treasury mechanism. This treasury allows DOT stakeholders, holders of the native token of the Polkadot network, to not only submit proposals, but also vote on a weighted basis on whether or not to give funding towards a variety of different proposals, things related to infrastructure deployment, those who are trying to build, for example, new wallets or decentralized applications on the Polkadot network, and a whole range of other things that can help to propel great ideas within the Polkadot ecosystem who may not be able to raise funding through other means. This is a really great way where the community has a stake in allocating a sizable amount of resources towards ideas that are hopefully aimed at growing the Polkadot network. And again, as I mentioned, there are a whole range of different use cases for these different types of DOT proposals. These are just the basics here. They can also support research and development for new, basically Polkadot improvement proposals and a whole range of other improvements that can scale out the network further. But beyond all of this, I want to go ahead and spend some time to talk about Polkadot 2.0. This is one of the big chapters for Polkadot. In 2024 could likely shape up to be one of the biggest years for Polkadot's development, and its ecosystem growth with its move from its existing architecture. Up until this point, Polkadot had utilized a novel concept it calls parachains in order to allocate its computational resources and block space towards particular applications on the network. And this worked quite well. It allowed for Polkadot over the last couple of years to bring about some really solid applications, especially the kind of primitive applications you want to see on any given network, like automated market makers, as well as platforms for NFTs. However, Polkadot realized that this does come with some limitations. Parachains have to go through an auction process, and they are limited. Not only with a parachain are there slot auctions where you have to essentially bond a certain amount of DOT tokens that either you have to raise from investors or from a crowdsourced campaign on the network, but beyond this as well, it basically treats every single parachain as if it requires the same amount of computational resources, limiting the scalability and the abundance of applications that can really be deployed on the Polkadot network. That's why the team has been working hard over the last year or so on building out a new direction for Polkadot. And this is focused on a concept known as core time. Core time entirely replaces the need for parachains on the Polkadot network and gets rid of the concept of slot auctions in replacement with a core time marketplace. Originally, in order to get an application live on the Polkadot network, you had to have a lot of DOT bonded or essentially raised initially from either other users on the network or investors. But now, with a core time marketplace, the block space and computational resources of the Polkadot network become open and democratized, essentially building out a fair marketplace where you can either purchase a small or large amount of block space, or you can do a pay-as-you-go model at the current market rate for block space. This allows for large applications that are already on the network to continue operating nearly as is, but outside of that as well, for a lot of new novel concepts that may have not been able to raise enough for a parachain auction in the past to be able to take up a small amount of block space initially to provide a unique application using the full capacity of the Polkadot network in its technological capabilities. So this to me is really exciting here because I think this is going to spark the innovative wave we want to see on the Polkadot network that probably has been limited for some time unless people saw the value in an idea early on and it was big enough to get a parachain auction slot. In this case, it's going to allow for a whole new range of developers on the network to get ideas out there, allow users to test and utilize these applications, and from there, as they continue to grow, be able to consume up more block space so long as users demand to utilize that service. A great visual representation of this at play can be found within the Documents section on Polkadot's website. We can see that for Polkadot 1.0, each individual core of the network would be dedicated towards producing blocks at a 12-second interval for each given parachain or decentralized application that was live on the Polkadot network. And while this concept works in practice, the problem is that it limits how that block space can be utilized. It's all dedicated towards particular applications, and sometimes those decentralized apps, albeit they may be valuable and useful, may not need all that transaction capacity. So it's a lot of wasted block space and computational resources. That's why with a core time marketplace, the cores on the network, or the block space and computational resources, can be utilized in very customized ways and be utilized to its fullest capacity. This will allow for a much higher amount of transactions per second, potentially allowing the network to service upwards of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, a major efficiency boost to the way it utilizes block space, and also providing the foundation for novel and new concepts to have a way to break into the Polkadot ecosystem rather than being gatekept by the high upfront cost or invested capital in order to win a parachain auction slot. So this is definitely going to be really exciting and allow for much more innovation onto the network, as well as probably lower cost transactions for end users. However, one of the biggest upgrades that's going to be coming with Polkadot 2.0 beyond just reallocating its block space and computational resources with the launch of a core time marketplace is the built-in burning mechanism for the DOT token, so that when projects are essentially purchasing block space or core time on the network, they are basically going to be utilizing DOT as the native currency to do so. And a lot of that DOT is going to be effectively burnt when it's utilized on the network, adding deflationary or scarce scarcity principles towards the DOT token that's going to eventually hopefully benefit DOT with more further adoption of the network. So this is an important thing to keep in mind here. It's very similar in many ways to EIP 1559 in the sense that as there's more use of the network, DOT becomes more scarce. And this is likely going to be a beneficial thing for DOT's price in the long term. But beyond all this as well, there's one final network upgrade, as much of what we discussed here in regards to this reallocation of block space comes in the later stages of Polkadot 2.0, as it will roll out in multiple phases. We need to talk about what's more relevant here in the near term. And that is the introduction of asynchronous backing. Asynchronous backing is not only going to allow for some of the bigger picture technological upgrades we discussed earlier, like the core time marketplace, but it's also bringing immediate impacts, positive impacts for the existing parachains within the Polkadot ecosystem, allowing for shorter block times and higher throughput. It's not only going to be cutting down the block time from 12 seconds to 6 seconds, allowing not only for general faster execution and time to finality, but beyond that as well, allowing for time-sensitive transactions like swaps to have a better chance at being executed at their agreed-upon price. But beyond all that as well, it is going to allow for a near 8-fold increase in the capacity of existing parachains and applications, further increasing the efficiency and use of the block space and computational resources of the Polkadot blockchain. This is a big deal and probably one of the biggest upgrades we've seen to the Polkadot network since its inception. With all these major upgrades coming to the Polkadot network, I think it's time that we all keep an eye on what Polkadot is aiming to build here. For me personally, I've been tracking Polkadot since its inception, since its initial raise that it did in its initial launch back a couple years ago. I've been following the journey of founders like Gavin Wood for a long time in this space, and it's phenomenal to see that where so many networks have remained relatively stagnant and not pushed out major upgrades, serving as a layer 0 protocol and coming out with these big picture upgrades for the Polkadot network, it's going to put it in a very unique position to where I think Polkadot could very well steal the spotlight in 2024. We're going to have to wait and see how things turn out. But if you're interested to learn more about Polkadot, I not only recommend you head over to their website, which I'll have linked down below in the description, but if you're a developer as well, feel free to check out their documentation as well as some of the grants and treasury program. If you have a great big idea with these upcoming upgrades to the Polkadot network, not only is there a ton of resources for you to learn how to build within the DOT ecosystem, beyond that, there's the financing and resources that you can obtain to get that idea off the ground if you can make a solid enough proposal and develop an application that actually gets the network excited. So again, I recommend tapping into these resources and checking out Polkadot. It's got one of the highest developer ecosystems in the crypto space, and it could always use more bright minds and faces in the crypto sector building applications on its network. That's it for today's video, everyone. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, if you happen to enjoy this review, consider dropping a like. It's one of the greatest ways you can support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone.